Hey, welcome back. This is an extra video in case you wanted some guidance on the diode situation and where to get them. We'll just repeat the same process. So I'm going to hit copy and for my manufacturer part number, then paste a search for it, see if it shows up. It does not. So we're going to look for that. These are in stock, so I'll save this to my workspace and don't have to worry too much about getting extra, like some alternatives. You can also make it so that you show only matching with template. This is really great. And you can click on parameter import options to look at your features to see what options are there. So I would play with this a little bit, see what works for your organization, what does not, terminal pitch, shape, size, viewing angle, overall height and height in general, I like to get. And then color, you want to get color. Very interesting. Okay, cool. So I'm going to add that, right? And then you can make modifications such as clicking on the model. Now, here's the thing. You can create a copy of the model and then modify this to make it orange, or you can edit the entire shared model. If you edit the entire shared model with other devices that are using this schematic symbol, they're going to update as well. So if you change it to orange, the others will turn orange, even if they're yellow, green, or whatnot. So you have to be very careful. I won't modify that, but we can see that it's orange. So that's fine. Then I'm just going to go ahead and rename this to the appropriate name in Altium. Okay. Now I'll add an alternate. See, we've got LED orange, clear SMD, and you want something like the same package size, right? So I need to give it more information if I want that, like 0.8 millimeters, the proper pitch. So you can't just add a description and then hope and pray that it works out. You need to have the exact details, preferably the manufacturer part number you need. If we go into DigiKey, for instance, or Octopart, we can find out more information. So let's go into Octopart, look for the exact manufacturer part number, use the description, right? We're using the description. Then, here I already have the description, right? So I could just copy this and then I can click on this device to have it pulled up by Octopart and see if this kind of matches what I am looking for. Yeah, so let's say it's close enough, right? And you click on that. That's why I like using Octopart. You can click on that, see that it's available. You have to be aware that it's coming from somewhere in Europe, seems like. And we then right click, save the LED, close this, and then it will save changes to the server. New orange LED. So these are things you have to be mindful of, like not just adding a generic description and hoping that gets you what you need. You want to add more detailed descriptions like the color, the type, the style, as many things as match as closely as possible to your original device. And then if I put the name or description in here, it shows up, but that's manufacturer part search. So you have to be careful with that too. So if I put a description in here, it pulls up. So whether I use the manufacturer part number, the name, or the description, it will pull up. So that's why I like using this. Okay. The next thing we need is to check this off and repeat the process again. So we'll go in here, then search for the manufacturer part number. Doesn't exist. Now it looks like we don't have any models on this thing. I'm going to click on this link to get me to Octopart. Look for CAD models. And we have one from Snap EDA and also from Ultra Librarian. I will preview this. Let's go ahead and download it. And now we've got to use that tried and true manual download method. Still a lot better than making it from scratch. Okay. And I downloaded the zip file that has the component, and I will extract all to its own folder. Now it's time to run the script and then add the step model to it as well. So we're going to get out of this environment, save the project. Then we will go to File, Run Script, browse to the script from a file, browsing to the folder with the script. We pull that. The text file specifically, don't just assume that you're in the folder. You need to go to the exact folder, make sure you're in there, manually go in there. Are we in the exercise files? Are we in there? Okay, good. Then choose that because it's so easy to forget that it will default to the previous folder that you had. Okay, the next step we need is to validate the PCB footprint and the schematic symbol. So here we've got these three. If I were to zoom out and check the 3D models, they look fine. Go ahead, save the PCB library, and go back to your project to open the schematic symbol library. Zoom out. Now you can make any modifications you need or want to, right? And I'll delete this. Save all of those. and then I will close this schematic symbol. Now you can add this to an existing project. You can have this only be local. You can put this into version control as its own project, and you can do it that way, right? Or make a compiled integrated library. It's up to you. If I were to add this to version control, then it'd just be its own project. But what I'll do is go to my schematic, go to panels, components, and then this SML library, see this right here, I can place this or import this library. Right now, if I want to just import this library, you can be like impatient. I could do that, or I could have all my local libraries placed in here, all my components in the local library, and then import the entire library at once. So, it's up to you. And we have this SML, right? Now that it's in my cloud, I can right click and edit this, give it an appropriate name. No description is available. So, we kind of need to go in and get some information about this thing. Maybe we need to add something like a URL, right? Like a link. So I'd go on Octopart, copy the link address. Then what else do I need from this thing? A short description, or just say URL. Then you can do things like add the data sheet, right? So this is a good way to go through like the manual process of getting your data sheets, right? SML. Okay, here you got a data sheet, and then you could just add certain parameters, or if you add one by mistake, you can click on that parameter and delete it. Then you want to go into your part choices. For part choices, I would sooner click on the device, see what alternates exist from here. And I can add more documents too, like data sheets from Element PC and so on and so forth. Look at Night Bright or King Bright. And if my research checks out that says, oh yeah, this device is good too, then I would also add this manufacturer part number as an alternate part. So it doesn't have the model, but that's fine because we got the model from Octopart and Ultra Librarian. So this is kind of the local way you would do that, right? So whether you're working offline, online, in the cloud, off the cloud, SVN, whatever the case may be, you can make these modifications, put them in Altium 365, and just have a better streamlined experience so that you're not dealing with multiple different files, components all over the place. It detected some errors, which I love, but I can still override that. Added new yellow LED. Let's say it's in-house stock available, or just made local library, for instance, or something like that. And the messages window pulls up what are the errors that showed up for this thing. All right, now I can double click it to pull it out and place this. Now I don't have to keep this local library anymore because it's in the cloud. Okay, so this is the process you'd use, like a slight modification to the process, and that's it. You can continue adding more diodes to your project. I would check mark this, and then the final diode is this one. So feel free to do this as an assignment or exercise, and then pause this video before you do that, and then unpause to see if you did the same. So pause now. Okay, so the next thing we copied this last diode, manufacturer part number. I'm going to go to panels, components, see if it's in my library or not. Of course, most likely it's not because I've never made a project for this before in Altium. Now this part is available, it's in stock, but can I really save it to my workspace? I guess. Let's see what we get. Let's see what happens here. New component, close new component. Let's not save. Let me make sure I'm adding this to the correct category. LED. It's an optoelectronic device. Overall height, pretty good. Click OK. Now it has data sheets. Does it come with schematic symbols? Unfortunately, it does not. So what do we do in this case? We would click on here, add an existing schematic symbol, and then you can look at your content card. You can go with that symbol. You can just go with components and then pull in LEDs, for instance. So we'll go with optoelectronic. You can import a library as an option, right? So let's say we want the schematic library symbol. And, depending on how you want to do it, it might force you to have to put it in like a different folder, like symbols or whatnot. So there's that other way you can do it as well, where you get an existing library file and then you can import something, or you can create the component, right? Or create other item type in general. I would honestly prefer doing it the normal way. What is the normal way? By going to the manufacturer part number, Octopart, downloading it, like downloading the actual CAD model, and I see we have EE Concierge, right? So we got Diode Lumix. Then you have a README file that explains what you need to do. EE Concierge with Altium installation instruction, right? We have the EE Concierge.lib. Well, we can use the schematic library and PCB library file with Diode Lumix. So I would get an existing, and it's trying to pull from my existing folders in the cloud, right? Instead, what I would do is I would maybe close this entirely and start over and then import from a manual library file. So you know that process. To do that, you want to do a file. Well, okay, components, excuse me. Make sure your import library option is available. Go to file. And in this case, you want to open a project, or excuse me. In this case, you want to just do file open. And then you would go to your Diode Lumix part. We can open both of these. All right. Here we've got the PCB library. That looks good. The schematic symbol library. We want to add the footprint. To do this, it's a little tricky. You would go into your PCB footprint, right? Save it. Double click on the name, copy this name. And before we do that, let's look at the 3D. Okay, we do have the 3D model of the LED in here. And now I noticed I've copied the footprint name. I will paste the footprint name into the schematic symbol. It's looking in this CAT16 library. No, we don't want that. We can install library, the Diode Lumix, and move it up. Now you can import this library into your LED option. Close it, and it's been imported. Now that it's been imported, let me show you. I also have some new components. What do you do when you have the option to add a new component and you don't know what to do? You can discard little changes to prevent that from trying to get into your library. Now, Diode Lumix, that's what I'm going to show. So if I were to go into the manufacturer part number, it's an SLML ending with TR, and there you go. Then I can right click, edit the description inside the cloud. Well, that's sponsored, so we want to get red LED clear. I'm going to copy this manufacturer part number. It searches for it, pulls up the available options. These are available, we just didn't have the model at the time. Click OK. Now it says red, but this thing looks like it's yellow, but it is red. So yeah, you have to watch out for those little things, right? Okay, now that I've updated this a little bit, let's go ahead and modify the name. Okay, save that, close. It will prompt you to save the changes, release, added new information and supply data. And then you can hit OK. And your component is good to go. Voila. If you want to make graphical changes, like make it red and LED, you just have to right click, edit, and then you can make those changes. That concludes all the diodes for this project, and you're ready to add other components to the project.